Yeah, 3 stories. Wait, no, 4 stories. Got them all now, I think. Okay, so let's start with the air conditioning here. Judgment number 2. Ned leaned with his back against the counter, resting both his elbows on the surface behind him. I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't lean on my counter, said Maddie. Your counter? Yes, it's my counter, said Maddie. So please don't lean on it. Ned laughed. People lean on this counter all the time. Yeah, but they're not called Ned, are they? Customers lean on this counter. You're not a customer. What if I ask for a drink? Are you gonna pay for that drink? Then I am a customer. We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone, so no, simply requesting a drink would not make you a customer. A man with long thin arms approached the counter. Can I get 2 lattes? 1 vanilla and 1 with soy milk. Soy milk? Ah man, I've tried that before. Did not like it one bit. But then again, if you're lactose intolerant, I guess it's the next best thing. You got it, said Maddie. We'll have that right out for you. Thanks, said the thin man, who took a seat at a table near the entrance. Maddie preoccupied herself with making the drink. Hey, Jay, said Ned. Jay looked up. Do you ever feel like what you all do here is insignificant? Said Ned. Running the terminal? Making drinks, said Ned. You know, there's more to life than creature comforts. I enjoy a coffee as much as the next guy, but it's not good to get too pampered. I'm not sure that enjoying a nice drink is what I'd call pampering, said Jay. But if I had my choice between a pampered life and an unpampered one, I'd definitely pick the former. I say that as someone who's known what it's like to lead an unpampered life. Suppose so, said Ned. I just think overindulging in creature comforts will be the downfall of civilization. Not that I'd have a problem with that. Civilization is pretty overrated as it is. I don't think that lies are fueling a collapse of society, said Jay. One might even say that the ability to walk into a cafe, ask for a drink and have it made to order is civilization. You know what it's like to live in a world without air conditioning, said Ned. So do I, shouted Maddie from across the room. Wasn't talking to you, said Ned. I know living in an apartment with no AC is not the same as living in a world without air conditioning, because when you lay in bed at night, you know at any time you could go out and buy a window unit. Not sure what your point is, said Jay. Also, air conditioning? It depends where you live, but it is kind of overrated, sorta. I mean, look at Singapore, man. I'm not trying to badmouth Singapore here, but if you look at Singapore, you'll see that the city there, it got freaking hot because of the use of those air conditioning units. There's so many air conditioning units in that city that the city itself, the temperature within has risen a couple degrees because of these freaking air conditioning units. It's like some kind of vicious circle. You buy an air conditioning unit, the air conditioning unit produces heat to the outside, and the outside heats up even more. The air conditioning unit, it can't keep up, it needs to do even more to keep the interior cold, but then it also gives off more heat to the outside, and you get some kind of vicious circle going on. But yeah, well, not sure what your point is, said Jay. Of course you don't, said Ned. Neither did the Romans. That didn't stop them from getting invaded. I know you're not that old, said Jay. Don't have to be old when you've got books, said Ned. And these books had a chapter about how the Romans were caught completely unaware in air-conditioned cafes while sipping lattes as the invaders came to destroy their way of life? Precisely, said Ned. They were sitting indoors with the windows closed and couldn't hear the barbarians streaming into their lands. One moment you're sitting down in a recliner, the next you've got a spear through your chest. Jay raised his eyebrows in a way that gave the impression of someone who had just rolled his eyes without wanting to invest the effort of having to roll his eyes. I think I'll take the recliner. And when I wind up with a spear in my chest, you can come and laugh at me, said Jay. Sure, said Ned. Like I said, I've got no talk in this fight. I'm not offering advice, just judgment. You can go on doing whatever you want, and I'll keep thinking less of you for it. Jay glared at Ned. Said Ned, not that I judge you. You know what it's like to have a hard life. I can tell from the calluses on your hands. You don't get those by accident. Ned lowered his voice and glanced at Maddie. But her? You and I both know that kids these days. Jay grabbed Ned by the scruff of the neck and jerked him violently before softly speaking directly into his ear. Don't ever try and judge her, Ned. You don't know the first thing about what she's been through. Jay let go of Ned's collar, but not before giving him a violent tug. Fine, I get it. You're protective, said Ned. But not everyone here is like your little prodigy. Like Mr. Scrawny over there. He jerked his thumb in the direction of the thin-armed man who was awaiting his laddies. Same thing goes for him, said Che. What do you know about what he's been through? Who are you to judge? Ned raised his hands defensively. I'm just saying, times aren't what they used to be. You're right. Times aren't what they used to be, said Che. And that's a good thing. If times were like they used to be, well damn, no women's rights, cheese, slavery, oh boy, racism, well, I'm not gonna say there's no racism today, but, you know, next level racism, that's already a bit notched down, I guess. The royalty, yeah, that was a thing back then, wasn't it? Yeah, sure, the good old days. Romanticizing that the past only lets you remember the good things, but never the bad, and the bad were really freaking bad. It's just that you've got to stay positive in life, mate. The future will bring change, and the change in the future should be a betterment of the future. Did I say that right? I think I did. I may have to edit that a little bit because I stuttered on my words. You're right. Times aren't what they used to be, said Che. And do you know what I've learned from being around for quite a while? It doesn't get easier. I get stronger, but life doesn't get easier. So kindly fuck off with any of your kids these days bullshit. Jeez, said Ned. You know, as old souls go, you're no fun to commiserate with. Sorry to be a disappointment, said Che. He stood up and started to walk away. It's odd, said Ned, not looking up. Che stopped and turned to him. What is? To see you give so much of a fuck, said Ned. I thought you had no fucks left to give. I have fucks left to give, but they're not as plentiful as they used to be, said Che. I have to say the few things I care a lot about. I was just bullshitting, you know, said Ned. Taking the piss out of everyone is supposed to be a recreational pastime. I was just working with the material in front of me. You're right about one thing, said Che. About our society being overrun with invaders who destroy our way of life. That's quite an about face. Che placed an arm around Ned and pointed at Maddie. Invader. He pointed at two 20-somethings chatting in the corner. Invaders. He pointed at an ashling scuttling across the floor. Tools of the invaders. The world used to belong to the likes of you and me, and now it doesn't. Every generation, a new generation comes, bringing their new ways with them. Invading our world. Folks like you and I, we're the ones who have to worry about being caught unaware. Because pretty soon, the world is going to belong to the people like them. In fact, I think that day may have already come, and we just haven't realized it yet. Gripes, said Ned. You make it sound so apocalyptic. Funny, said Che. I thought I was being optimistic. No, but he makes a point there. Every generation is actually pointing to the older generation and be like, come on, don't ruin it, don't ruin stuff. And I'm sure at some point I'll join them in that conversation. Because it's just what every generation does about the newer one, isn't it? Beth, the third part of the story. Oh, that's a knife, I didn't even see that. What the hell is going on down here? As Maddie descended the stairs, the huddle broke, revealing a girl sitting on the floor, looking dazed. The man leaning over her spoke. Beth, are you... I'm fine, said Beth, swinging her arms around, clearly only barely aware of her surroundings, but aware enough that she didn't want to give off the appearance of not being completely in control of the situation she was in. Maddie got down on the floor next to her. You're bleeding. Beth touched the back of her head and looked down at the pool of blood. Sorry, I must have fallen and hit my head. Maddie looked up. You big guy. Go upstairs and ask Jay for an ice pack. Shall Beth sit up? You can see okay? Yeah, said Beth. Just a little dizzy. Maddie inspected the wound on the back of her head. Also, wasn't that knife fight supposed to be in the basement, not in the ritual basement? You know, the other one, the warehouse basement, that kind of place? Maddie inspected the wound on the back of her head. Doesn't look deep, just broke your skin. Good news, kid. No permanent brain damage for you today. Beth apparently had enough control of her sense to roll her eyes. Lucky me. Of course, I'm questioning whether you weren't already brain damaged, because I'm guessing those knives on the floor have something to do with your present condition. Maddie looked up at several members of the crowd that was sitting by, nervously and passively watching. Am I wrong? She paused. I'm not hearing any denials. Come on, people. 2 actual rules and you managed to break both of them in one night? The man Maddie had sent upstairs came back down with an ice pack she had requested. That was Kyle, right? Jay said he can bring first aid if... Not necessary, said Maddie. Here, she said, handing the ice pack to Beth. Hold that against the back of your head. I'm not sure if it does anything to blood flow, but at least it'll numb the area. Why would I want it to be numb? Better than being in pain, said Maddie. Then again, I'm talking to someone who just decided that a fun way to spend an evening would be trying to avoid the wrong end of a steak knife. Maddie scanned the rest of the group. Anyone else having any wounds? Don't hide them if you do. It's just me, said Beth. No one even got cut. And no one's going to get cut, said Maddie, looking up and speaking to the crowd. Come on, people! I don't care who you are, as long as you're here you have real blood and I can't have you bleeding all over my floor. You can't just wash bloodstains out of a wood floor. Maddie pointed to the staircase. I think you all should find something else to do. You can stick around upstairs, but if you cause any trouble, we do have ways of removing you, and no one wants that. Some of you, this might be your last night here. Don't force us to put it to a swift end. Everyone shuffled towards the staircase, including Beth, who had managed to stand up. Maddie grabbed her by the arm. Not you. You're not moving until that wound on the back of your head stops bleeding. It already has, said Beth. Let me see, said Maddie, examining the wound. Sit back down. Beth obeyed and took a seat cross-legged on the floor. Maddie crouched next to her and began cleaning and dressing the wound. Why do you do this? Said Maddie. Beth countered Maddie's question with one of her own. Why do you have a fight club that's so formalized that there are rules posted on the wall? I understand why people do it in general, said Maddie. People spend time without a physical body, and when they get it back, they want an adrenaline rush. They want some kind of thrill. What I want to know is, why you? Why does a girl who looks like she can't be older than 16 years old want to get into blood sports? You don't know what it's like, said Beth. I know what it's like to be a teenage girl, said Maddie, but I never felt the urge to start getting into fights with men twice my size. Beth turned away. You don't know what it's like to want to feel something, said Beth. To feel so numb that you want to cry and then be unable to cry. You just feel nothing. That's what it's been like for me. I just wanted to feel something. I just wanted to feel like I was alive for a change. Spoiling for a dose of pain to escape the numbness? Said Maddie. I'd agree if you didn't say it condescending like that. Getting punched not enough pain for you? I wanted it to feel real, said Beth. Beth looked at the ice pack and felt the back of her head, which seems to have stopped bleeding, but the swelling must have been really bad. You want to know the truth? I wanted this to happen. That's why I came here. Maddie shook her head. I can't empathize. It's clear that I've never gone through what you have, so in the absence of empathy, the best I can offer you is my sympathy. Are you done bleeding? Have you gotten your fill of thrills? Yes to both, said Beth. You'll probably be fine without a bandage, said Maddie. You're lucky it was only this bad. You can stick around if you want to, but try not to do anything too physical. I wouldn't want you to open that wound and start bleeding everywhere. Because of the wood floor, you know, not because we care about her. The wood floor, you know. Bloodstains, not an easy thing to remove. I think I have had enough for one night, said Beth. I'll see myself out. If you're ready to go, then go, said Maddie. But I don't want to have the feeling I'm chasing you out. Beth followed Maddie upstairs. Kyle was waiting for them by the bar. Beth, he said. I'm sorry about the whole, you know. Don't be, said Beth. I had a lot of fun tonight. Me too, said Kyle. You know, you really had me on the ropes toward the end. In fact, I feel like I couldn't leave this world on a better note. I just thought I'd stick around to see if you, were okay. I was just about to leave too, said Beth. You want to leave together? I'm curious about how, well, things work. Sure, said Kyle. The two fighters walked to the door of the cafe and walked down the catwalk towards the terminal exit. And there they went. You're a real fighter, said Kyle. Thanks, said Beth, politely responding to his compliment. Not like me, I mean, said Kyle. You really know what you're doing. Beth smiled. Kyle wasn't praising her just to praise her. He'd actually noticed her skill. Why'd you like to fight like that? He said. Beating people like you, said Beth. Ah, said Kyle. Well, I guess I'm just the last in a long line of guys who had no idea what they were doing. Hopefully not the last, said Beth. They reached the end of the terminal, and Kyle got ready to step out. Hold on, said Beth. Shall we do this together? Kyle blinked. Sure. All right. On 3, she said. 1, 2... On 3, they both stepped over the threshold. Beth stumbled onto the street and looked around her. Kyle was nowhere to be seen. Somehow vanished from existence. Beth looked over her shoulder to the still open door and paused a moment before pulling out her phone to call for a ride. Oh, she wasn't dead. She was actually still alive. Okay, well, that makes sense why she was bleeding then. But that she was willing to fight a ghost? Oh well, that was the end of that little story then. What else am I oh, right, this one. Sometimes I just sit. Jay came down the stairs and noticed that Kishna was still seated at the counter, staring into a glass of something. It was a mixed drink of some kind, but it didn't look like coffee to Che. You mind company? Said Che, leaning on the seat next to Kishan. By all means, said Kishan. I don't see anyone else using that seat. Well, you might have been using it, said Che. As a buffer. I'm not looking for conversation, said Kishan, but I'm not really looking to avoid it either. That makes 2 of us, said Che. He leaned across the counter and reached down, locating a cup and a bottle purely by touch from a familiar nook in the bar. He poured himself a finger of whiskey, just enough to warm his tongue. Kishan continued staring into his own drink, his expression unwavering. Jay shrugged and sampled his own drink, feeling the warmth of the drink as the whiskey spread across his tongue and trickled down his throat. He set the glass down. The next few moments passed in silence, as Kishan continued staring into his own glass, and Jay absently turned his empty glass on the counter. Kishan finally broke the silence. If you're waiting for me to finish off this drink so you can offer me something whatever that is, you might be waiting for a long time, said Kishan. I wouldn't offer you this, said Che. It's a special bottle, older than I am. Something like that ought to be kept in private, don't you think? Said Kishan. Che shrugged. I have no problem letting people sample it if they want it. This bottle has a way of never running empty. But a whiskey like this, you don't get it just by sitting there passively. You have to at least take the step of asking for it. Because it only gives when people are expecting to get. Wait, what? How does that work? They don't know what it is, but they're expecting to get it? They don't know that it's there, but they're still expecting? How does that work? I'm confused. I offer, it won't work. Oh, wait, now I think I can follow now. But why describe it so difficult? I feel like there was maybe an easier way to describe it, but oh well. It sounds like you have a bottle that is in the business of filling people's subconscious prophecies, said Kishan. That does seem to be the case, said Che. I try not to think about it. Bad juju. Juju? Is that a real thing here? It's really a thing here as it is anywhere, said Che. Kishin looked contemplative for a moment. If the bottle is in the business of fulfilling people's expectations, what happens if I expect you to pour me a drink and find the bottle empty? Don't, said Che, cutting him off. Oh no, because then the bottle would actually be empty. Don't even get me thinking about it. Because if I start thinking about it, it might happen. I've got a good thing going here. Don't jinx it. Yeah, that would be a shame of a never-ending bottle, you know. Alright, said Kishin. Sorry if I messed with your mojo. Or juju, or whatever it is. Mojo juju? No, it's mojo jojo. Oh man, I kind of feel old by saying that. I have a feeling like the young generation would even know what I'm talking about now. Mojo jojo? Jesus, that's already old. Or juju, or whatever it is. I didn't mean to break anything. It's not as fragile as that, said Che. This isn't the first time I've had this conversation. Just why play with fire if you don't have to, you know? I think I'll have some of that whiskey, said Kishin. Lord knows I'm not making any progress with this. He looked at the drink in front of him and pushed it aside. Che smiled and reached behind the counter for another glass, pouring a single finger for Kishin. Kishin took a sip. That's smooth, he said. I know, said Che. They don't make them like they used to. Well, they do, but they'll take a few more decades to get there. Kishin cleared his throat and started coughing. He pounded his chest with his fist and let out a wheeze before settling down. You alright? Said Che. Yeah, said Kishin. I think I'm alright. Whatever rut Kishin had been in when he sat down, he seemed to be out of it by now. There was something about that dry whiskey that had a way of catching people's throats by surprise. And there was something about a coughing fit had a way of getting butterflies out of the stomach. What? And there was something about a coughing fit had a way of getting butterflies out of the stomach? This feels like a literal translation which did not work, and I'm having trouble to understand it actually. Maybe it wasn't much, but there was something. Che smiled as he put away the bottle, giving it an affectionate pat as he set it down. One less case of postmortem depression in the world. Good job, Pappy. Pappy? Oh no. I kinda cringed a little bit with that word. Pappy. Aw, man. What else? I had a talk with that. Cherished moments. I did this one, right? Yes. 1, 2, 3. Did I do all 4 of them? I can't remember. Did I do this one? Oh, nope. I didn't do this one yet. What are you doing? Said Ned. Che spoke without turning his head. Looking at that wall over there. So, nothing? No? Said Che. I'm looking at the wall over there. So, nothing. The wall has an interesting texture, said Che. Have you ever noticed that if you stop and stare at something for long enough, it starts to just look like itself? Weirdly enough, yeah, I have that with people's faces. Like, weird enough, if I stare at somebody, they just look more like themselves. It's kind of weird how I need to put it. It's like my first impression is slightly being altered by more details becoming apparent to me. It's not like they're changing, but it's my impression of them that changes. If it makes sense. But yeah, I do have that with people, so I kind of get that. I think you're talking crazy, said Ned. When I was younger, I was in the habit of making comparisons, said Che. I'd see a cloud and say, ooh, it looks like a duck, when it looked nothing like a duck. My mind wanted so desperately to connect that feeling of seeing a cloud to something I was familiar with. Now I'm content to just look at a cloud and appreciate it for what it is. You're really serious about this, said Ned. You're actually scrutinizing that wall? Not scrutinizing it, said Che. Just observing it and appreciating it. How did you get to be this way? Said Ned. Why are you the way you are now? He's dead? Now he's starting to appreciate stuff more. Jay shrugged. I realized at a certain point that I might as well cherish every moment. I don't understand you, said Ned. I thought cherish every moment was about spending time with your loved ones, getting the most out of life, not wasting away staring at a wall. It's called being in the moment and letting it all in. It's also part of it, man. You're right. You don't understand me, said Che. The only moments you can cherish are the ones you're with friends or family, or hearing a great song or having a great meal. That's just cherishing the precious moments. You're selectively choosing moments to cherish. I mean to cherish every moment. Standing in line at the store? Cherish it. Alone in a room with no one but yourself for company? Cherish it. Man, this game is actually making me feel old. Because I think I am already at that point. Each time I'm just standing in line, I'm like, you know what, let me just take this time and just stand here and go to my empty box. Just be in the moment and take in the store a bit more. Look at some people around me. Sometimes it's nice to just stand still for a moment and analyze your surroundings, taking it all in. Well, not really analyzing, that's maybe a bit too far. But experiencing it, that's maybe it. I always try to do that in my games as well. Because games do offer a really beautiful world, often. Often, I have to say oftentimes, not all the times, but often. That sounds impossible, said Ned. It's hard, not impossible, said Che. But it gets easier when you practice. I'm not sure whether to pity or envy you, said Ned. There you go again, said Che. Always trying to make the comparison. Looking at another person and considering whether to pity them because they're worse off than you. Or envy you because they're better off. Never willing to just let them be what they are and let yourself be what you are. Okay, now you're starting to sound profound. Che grinned. Did I accidentally deliver a bit of cogent wisdom there? You might have, said Ned. I think if there's anyone who ought to appreciate what I'm saying, it's you, said Che. You probably know better than most folks that not every day can be full of wonderful moments. Some days are just ordinary. Some days you've got little beyond your own thoughts for company. I guess I'm such good friends with my own thoughts that I forgot they were there, said Ned. Ned slumped next to Che. What are you doing? Said Che. I'm gonna stare at this wall until it starts looking like itself, said Ned. There you go again, said Che. Looking at something with an expectation of what it's going to look like. You've got to let go of that, man. Fuck! Now you've got me thinking about my own brain. This is like one of those things where someone tells you not to think of an elephant and then it becomes impossible not to. I wasn't kidding when I said it was hard, said Che. I also wasn't kidding when I said it gets easier with practice. Well then, said Ned, I guess I may as well start now. And so they just sat there in the basement, 5 feet apart because they're not gay. I guess I found everything. Jesus, it's freaking moist and damp in here. Let me go back up. Oh, wait, another one? Who wants to live forever? Who wouldn't want to? I mean, is that really a question? But it does depend on what quality of life you have. If you get to live forever, but, you know, the way you get older is the same way as you normally get older, then I don't think I would want to live forever. Because, let's be honest, if you turn into a sack and all bones, not being able to do anything, I mean, if you get so old that the minor inconvenience, the minor change of I don't know, you're starting to twist your body, it breaks a bone. If that happens, that's the point where you don't want to live. I never would want to live like a plant. Nope. That would take all the joy out of it. Espresso machine's acting up again. Maddie sighed. Why does it have to be like this? It doesn't have to be like this, said Che. You're right, said Maddie. It wasn't always like this. If you travel back in time far enough, you'll find an era when we had a working espresso machine. And if you travel even further back, you'll get to a time when espresso machines didn't exist, said Che. Point taken? Maddie reached below the counter for the bottle of Chardonnay she had opened that morning. It was half empty. Is this the prelude to one of those moments when an old man tells me about how lucky we are to have things so easy? Nah, said Jay. Things aren't easier. In fact, they're harder. That's why you need all the modern technology to help deal with them. Jay nodded to the wine bottle in Maddie's hand. So, are you gonna offer me some of that, or just keep squeezing its neck like you're trying to choke it? Maddie began pouring a drink for Jay. They keep pouring out alcohol. Where's the coffee? Give me more coffee! I mean, there's even more coffee in a Starbucks than there is in this game, so please. Where's the freaking coffee? So, what were things like back in the old days? Well, for one thing, we didn't need glasses back then. What, they just drank out of the bottle? Glasses are not a new invention, old man. I've seen pictures of Benjamin Franklin. Well, yeah, we had glasses back then, but we didn't use them. We drank straight from the bottle. Hey, ka-ching! Oh man, I am way too deep into this. Har har. Oh really? Said Che. Glasses are just one more thing to keep track of. One more thing to clean. It's much easier to just pass a bottle back and forth. That may be the case, said Maddie. But I'm sure our patrons appreciate the extra effort that goes into making sure they're always drinking from clean glasses. I sure know I do. I'm sure they do, said Che. That's another thing that's changed. Everyone's a connoisseur of whatever they're drinking. I don't think I am. I mean, I know what I like to drink, but it's not I'm going to be like, I don't know, it's not hitting my taste buds correctly. I'm not hitting those wood textures in there. Nah, man. Is that your finger wagging about how young people all have particular tastes? No, said Che. At least I don't think it is. I guess people all are enjoying the present moment more. Like when we drank sock juice, you were just doing whatever it took to get that stimulant into your bloodstream. Did it for most depressants. Do I want to know what sock juice is? No, that's also why I did not mention it. I do not want to know. I do not want to know. Really do not. Said Maddie. Because I'm fairly certain I don't. We didn't have coffee filters back then, said No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. No, don't put the image in my head. Please don't. Please don't. So you'd use a sock instead. Ah, god damn it. Oh, god damn it, it's in there. Oh yeah, the sock juice. Yeah. With added flavor, huh? Probably. Don't worry. We'll use clean socks whenever they were whenever they were available. So you did use dirty socks at times. That's just... I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Maddie closed her eyes, looking physically ill. Yeah, that's me. That's me right there. Yeah. You were saying something about people enjoying the present moment before that awful digression about how you made coffee? Yeah, said Che. I know there's this stereotype about how in modern society no one is ever really present, but if anything, I feel like it's the other way around. Nowadays people are all about enjoying the present moment. People used to be way more obsessed with where they were going. As in where they were migrating to? In a matter of speaking, said Che. Let's just say that I'm amazed how few people these days come in here asking questions about heaven and hell. 100 years ago, if you caught someone on their way out of this world, the first thing they wanted to know was, which place is this? And after they found out they were on a temporary stop to the next place, they wanted to know where it was they were going. There's still plenty of that, said Maddie. Yeah, but a lot less of it, said Che. And you know, I don't think it was a case of people's priorities suddenly changing once they found themselves standing on the precipice. There were people who used to describe themselves as God-fearing. It was just part of life. And now it's not. He shrugged. I guess people found more important things to worry about. There wasn't a lot going on back then. He took a sip of Chardonnay. Yeah, I guess the game also hits a sour spot right there too. There is a lot of stuff going on these days. Yeah, and I'm not gonna go into that any deeper. I think that was clear enough as it was. Good thing I'm going to live forever. Where'd you go to hell? Hell yes, said Che. I've done way too much sinning to ever make it into heaven. You've done more good than ill for the world, said Maddie. I'm pretty sure that balances it out. You probably have a positive balance. Nah, said Che. I don't think it works like that. I'm pretty sure I'm just a bad person who happens to do good things most of the time. Well, it might not be good enough for heaven, but it's good enough for me, said Maddie. So I guess it's a good thing that you're going to live forever. So this was a memory from before the events that just occurred. I don't see Che mentioning he didn't want it, because this is the end of that little story. He did not mention it. So not all the blame is to be put on Maddie. Let's get back up here, huh? To the basement. Oh, that was the lower base. Wait. Cellar? Is a cellar lower than a basement? I had no idea. There's still one more room, 2 more rooms here that I haven't gone to yet. Maybe they relate to the side stories? So yeah, I think that was again another part. If you enjoyed, please do leave behind a like, that would be very much appreciated. And I'll see you in the next part. Ciao!